Welcome to the Unity of Olympia podcast.
Father Thomas Keating offers the welcoming prayer. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I welcome everything that comes to me today because I know it's for my healing. I welcome all thoughts, feelings, emotions, persons, situations, and conditions. I let go of my desire for power and control. I let go of my desire for affection, esteem, approval, and pleasure. I let go of my desire for survival and security. I let go of my desire to change any situation, condition, person, or myself. I open to the love and presence of God and God's action within me. Amen. The welcoming prayer is about letting go, right? Welcoming what is doesn't mean we don't want or need to change or grow a little bit, not on the outside necessarily. It means that we accept what is, and we invite the presence, the awareness of the presence of God into what is. We don't fight it. We don't try to change it. We welcome it, and we invite God to work through us, with us, to co-create peace, love, joy, light. We become willing to be changed, transformed. And this is exactly what Father Keating says. Transformed as we give our consent to God's presence in us. Boy, isn't that the Christmas message? Father Keating says that when we cling to our needs or desires or demands that what is should be different, we're trying to be in control. Okay, that makes sense, right? When we let go and, here we go, these are his words again, meet God and our reality, then we actually do become free and experience God's presence, which does the healing. It meets our needs and it transforms us. This is how we show up as the Christ presence. This is how we show up as the anointed ones, by bringing God's presence into our lives and then into the rest of the world. I want to share today the story, the Christ presence in the Gospel of John, in you and in the world. So this is from the Gospel of John, and it's from the Message Bible, which again I'll share that is a translation of the oldest Greek into American English. It's called The Life Light. That's life light, not life flight. That's a different thing. But it could be kind of the same. But anyway, okay. The Word was first. The Word present to God. God present to the Word. The Word was God, in readiness for God from day one. Everything was created through him. Nothing and not one thing came into being without him. What came into existence was life. And the life was light to live by. The light life blazed out of the darkness. The darkness couldn't put it out. The life light was the real thing. Every person entering life, he brings into light. He was in the world was there through him, and yet the world didn't even notice. He came to his own people, but they didn't want him. But whoever did want him, who believed he was who he claimed and would do what he said, he made to be their true selves, their child of God selves. So what is the life light? It is the Christ presence that lives within all of us. It's in the world already. I mentioned this a week or two ago, that I believe that God presence, that consciousness, that life, that love, it is all around us all the time. We are living in a sea of it. That life light, we're made up of it. It's in the world, but the world doesn't notice it. Right? People fail to see it. But whoever is willing to claim it becomes their true selves, has an awareness of what their relationship to the world is, right? The Christ that was seen in Jesus is the Christ that lives in us. This is what the Apostle Paul refers to in the quote from today's daily word: Christ in you, the hope of glory. How is glory depicted? As light. This is the message we hear from the Christmas story in all its iterations. Don't fear, don't lose hope. Nurture hope with faith in God. The light always returns, and it's returned to you. The life, light, Christ presence lives in each of you. How many of you knew that that was absolutely true for those children that I read that story to this morning? Mm-hmm. And yet, is there some part of you that says, not me? It's okay. Most of us have some part of us that says, me? But that's okay. That's just our experience of humanity. We just bring that also to the life light, to the awareness of that Christ presence, that we are swimming in it, that we are it. Last night we got to host the annual winter solstice spiral walk. It was a sacred time of honoring the darkness of winter and bring faith to nurture our hope of returning light. Now, of course, I'm guessing none of you really has to think about the faith that the light is going to return on the planet. And yet, when we're in our darkest spots, sometimes we have to really employ that conscious awareness that light returns to our consciousness, to our lives. And it does, because it's never gone. The light is in the darkness. I love being able to manipulate words from 2,000 years ago to fit my theology. And yet it's not really much of a stretch, I don't think. I believe that this is the interpretation that serves the world. It serves me to be my best self. It serves us to be our best selves, and it serves other people when we are our best selves. The daily word yesterday is light. And the affirmation was, the light of God within me shines brightly. Will you affirm that with me? The light of God within me shines brightly. No matter the amount of darkness that surrounds me, the illumination that comes from the light of God within me shines brightly. That's what the daily word says. I'm actually going to read the whole thing because I loved it. This awareness blesses me and helps me maintain my perspective about the shifting state of the world and changeless nature of God. Just as certain times of the year are darker than others, certain times of life are dark while others are lighter. Yet the light of God is eternal and unchanging. I just keep saying it over and over in different words. I place my attention on the light of God, which shines brightly within me. On my darker days, it is the light that sustains me. During easier times, I shine my inner light into the world and illuminate the way for others. The light of God within me shines brightly. You know, these are Unity's first and second basic principles. The first principle is God is. And the second principle is I am the light of God. I am the expression of God. I am all of that which God is. Well, maybe not all. Maybe. In times of darkness in your mind and your emotions, it's up to you to nurture that hope of glory that Paul expounded on. Christ in you, your hope of glory. You nurture that hope with faith in your head and your heart. And if you find that you are unable to connect with a sense of faith, that's why we are in community. You ask somebody else to know the truth for you. If you are in darkness in your life, and you all know what that is. I mean, maybe there's somebody here who doesn't, but I don't see anybody under 20. If you're in darkness, our community is formed so that someone else will know the truth of faith, of love, of light, of peace, of light returning into your life again, in your own consciousness, in your head and heart. You just ask the person next to you when you show up on Sunday morning. Ask a prayer team member. Ask me. This is the way a spiritual community is built. You know, these teachings are radical and heretical according to many people of the Christian faith. And there's many people here who would have called themselves Christian, but because of the shift in the world, because of the shift in consciousness that has happened around our country, specifically in Christianity, many of you, I know, will no longer identify yourselves as Christian. And that's okay. I'm not sure. Some days I do, some days I don't. It just goes back and forth. But what I do know is that Jesus is my primary teacher. And the Christ presence is my highest self. And so I invite you into that as well. And if it doesn't work for you, those are just words. Use the words that work for you. The way that we believe it, that we are the Christ, there's a fear out in the world that that could lead to arrogance and greed. And I believe it's just the opposite. Once a person understands that they have the same relationship to God that Jesus did, the darkness becomes less of a burden and more of an opportunity to bring light into the world. In 1767, the Burmese army invaded Siam. It's now Thailand. And the monks guarding the temple there could hear them coming miles away. And so they began doing what they could to protect the temple and all of its riches, treasures. Unfortunately, the monks were no match for the army, and they were all killed. But hundreds of years later, in 1955, the temple was being relocated. And there was a clay statue of the Buddha there that, of course, the marauders left because clay is not worth anything. So as they were relocating the temple, they decided to relocate that clay statue, except that some of the clay started falling off. And a light shone from within. And they started looking, and that clay statue was actually a 2,000-pound solid gold Buddha statue that the monks had covered. That's where they spent their time. They put layer upon layer upon layer of clay over this statue, hoping that one day those who follow the Buddha as their primary teacher would be able to find that gold that was underneath it. The gold is under there the whole time. I love this story because it's under there the whole time, regardless of what it looks like on the outside. So when I'm showing up as a jerk, know that there's gold inside. Please, please. The story of the birth of Jesus is a story that invites us into faith. The birth stories from the Bible were written just as Homer would write any story of the Greek gods coupling with a human to bring divinity into the world. Except this baby would be a baby born in the poorest of circumstances to a girl without a husband. And this baby is the presence of God itself. And because of this story, Paul tells us, Christ in you, your hope of glory. This last Sunday of Advent, we're launched on a true adventure. It's an adventure. The discovery of the Christ within us, rediscovery of the Christ within us, because we've always known it was there. It's the discovery of the true self, the child of God, the golden Buddha. Father Keating reminds us, Christ in you, the hope of glory, the path of mystery, where we experience God within, consenting to God's presence in everything that comes our way. He continues, this is the true self that knows experientially that he or she is secure, protected, and loved. When we live in this new creation that God has given us, the true self, we can let go of our need to control ourselves or others. In this place, we are connected to God's love and power. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to welcome that Christ presence into the darkest places in your own heart, in your own mind, and into the light places and fun places. The places in consciousness that might be bossy. For me, that's dark and fun. Or loud. Or carrying the pains of hurts from yesterday or long ago. Your mission is to choose to accept the Christ into your heart so that we can all welcome it in one another. I want to close with Father Keating's prayer again. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I welcome everything that comes to me today because I know it's for my healing. I welcome all thoughts, feelings, emotions, persons, situations, and conditions. I let go of my desire for power and control. I let go of my desire for affection, esteem, approval, and pleasure. I let go of my desire for survival and security. I let go of my desire to change any situation, condition, person, or myself. I open to the love and presence of God and God's action within me. Amen.